Aboard the mighty airship Windswift, 4 valiant captains of the Order of Astari are tasked with hunting down the madmen who would bring back the Dragon Overlords. These are the adventures of the Windswift. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Adventures of the Windswift. Well, if you haven't been watching, now's a great time to start because our crew are just about to... Well, I'm not going to tell you what they're just about to do. They're going to tell you what they're just about to do. Dice of Destiny, who is going to catch us up on what's happening? Number 4, and that is Freddy. Freddy, tell us what is happening in the world of the Windswift.
Of all times. Now. Okay. Our most recent venture has brought on a lot of headaches for Griam and for the rest of the party. As the last time, we finally left the giant box of sand from doing some major but still minor repairs on the ship. And as we flew away, we decided and made some plans to go to, at first it was to a dwarven city, and we still have some ideas of going that direction, but we are going towards more Mutaru's homeland. And we thought we were being attacked by fireworks at first, and we were, and it was just all misdirection. But that's the direction we're mainly heading right now. There were major conversations to be had. I got lost in a bazaar. A lot of people yelled at me. It was very uncomfortable. And that's the best I got.
That's pretty much where we are. All right, so the crew have returned. The sun is rising, and this Chung settlement that you're in is now fully asleep, having revelled and partied the entire night away. The 4 of you are back on board the vessel, and she is ready to ship out, as says your First Lieutenant Jasani Tai in her usual clipped manner.
Very good, Lieutenant. I shall take the helm. Prepare it for casting off.
We're all set, sir, she says. Give me a piloting check, please, Jono.
14.
All right, the ship slowly and carefully alights, lifting up into the air. There is the creaking, groaning sound as the hull takes the strain of being badly damaged and patched up by as fast as possible means. And it isn't long before you've reached your maximum height of about 700 yards when Chief Thickwhistle pops in on the speaking horn. I don't think she can go much higher than this, sir.
This should be sufficient. I keep her... I'd bring her down maybe 50 or so yards just to give her a bit of breathing room.
All right. Blackston, you have finished your interrogation of Hashtal, and she gave you that letter or note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I quickly glance over it, and then I kind of look at her and kind of nod and say, "So, what do you want now? You could stick around with us if you want, or we could let you go at the next bigger city. I would speak with the other captains, of course, but I think from my point of view, we are done here. Is there any preference that you might have?"
She shivers a little bit. Perhaps it's more out of resignation than anything else. And she takes the pen and scribbles on the parchment. She doesn't care.
I'll nod and say, well, Con will probably want to have you here for a little bit more to see after you. Make sure that you're all right.
She nods demurely and sits back against the wall of the cell that she's in.
I nod and say, well, thank you for this. But I'm sure that you understand that I need to speak with my comrades.
She nods.
And I kind of head off. My first direction that I want to go for is the helm.
Alright, you're heading up to Con. Okay. Mutaru, what are you doing?
Mutaru is on deck, surveying the landscape and taking in the glorious sight of the Chung landscape, peering over the side, obviously at our greatly reduced height and speed. In a jovial manner, Mutaru turns to Connor and says, "Shall I get out and push?"
Alright, how many MUs are we able to pull at this rate anyway?
The very strained voice of Waffen Jockenstoke comes over the horn. At the moment, sir, we're burning about 2 an hour just to make sure that we don't exceed our speed limitations. If you want to go faster, we can, but then I'd suggest that we get Captain Mutaru to try and hold the ship together.
You could probably do it.
Yes, Mutaru, I think you may need to get out and push.
Okie dokie.
Don't actually do that.
And you just see the
Mutaru
cow
stops
just jumping
from leaving.
overboard.
What he will do, though, is Mutaru will... because Mutaru has a far greater understanding of more the duties of the crewman as opposed to the actual function of the ship. Like, he doesn't understand how the riggers need to work, he just knows what they need to do. So Mutaru is going to, in his best fashion, try and motivate them to not let up, to like keep kind of working hard and working fervently, just to kind of like, in case, you know, there's any slacking and stuff like that might cost us time or might do damage to the ship. Obviously, you know, the more alert we are, the better, I think.
Right, makes sense. Graham, what are you doing? Your shopping expedition resulted in you getting some okay leather armor, but you're not sure exactly where your conversation went wrong with the trader. Your insistence on it being actual leather and asking for it in cowhide just didn't go down so well amongst the Chung. What you have got is something that's made out of, it looks like, reptilian leather. But you're fairly happy with it because it moves quite quietly and it seems to offer you a pretty decent amount of protection.
Why the hell is... Why is there a tiny, like, alligator face at the bottom? Oh, it's so weird.
Is it at your crotch?
Yeah, it's very odd. I don't know why they put that there, but I guess element
Yes,
surprise.
we call it the snapping cod.
Well,
And thank you for coming today.
yes, that's all.
This is why people
Good night,
do not
everybody.
visit Chung Da. It's this kind of humor that the tourists don't get, right?
Let's see. I'm gonna head towards what seems to be our main meeting room between the captains, and
Right.
I'm going to pop the horn, make a small, quick announcement. Captains, this is Green. Please come to the mapping rooms whenever at your convenience and leisure. I have something that I wish to discuss with... Please. I hate using that word. I'll see you soon.
Okay, so Blackstone, with that, hearing that where his fellow captains will be, he will just go there with the one kind of sidestep, searching for Waffen Jockenstoke.
All right, he's in engineering.
Is engineering, not running, going around. Okay, then I'm just still gonna grab him and just like ask him to accompany me, because
Hi,
he's
sir.
not gonna like it.
All right, where are we going, sir?
We're going to meet with the other captains. I have news, and I have news for you too, and you're not gonna like it very much, I feel.
Did anyone ever tell you have a wonderful sense of doom about you, sir? Are you
Yes.
sure you're sure you're not a dwarf?
No.
All right. To the other two, Mutaru, Con, do you make your way through to the map room to meet with Graham?
Nexon, take the helm.
Aye, sir.
All right, Mutaru, let's go see what he wants.
You're gonna make me tell him
Mutaru
no?
sort of looks up. Grimm? Meeting room? Please? There must be an emergency. I have never heard such ominous words leave that man's lips in the 10 years we've known him.
10. Gosh.
We must hurry.
That's true.
Head for the
All
map
right.
room.
Everybody files into the map room, as so does Blackston and Jock and Waffenstoke.
What? I said captains. Why'd you bring him?
I had no idea. Congratulations on your promotion. I shake their hands. I had no idea you had been upgraded to captains.
He's not been
really
upgraded to
wonders. Oh.
Jumping to conclusions.
This isn't what's happening?
I have news as well, and I think we should speak about this right away.
We
Con
should
plonks
probably-
himself in his customary chair on the map table and puts his feet up and looks at this with the this should
feel
be
like-
interesting.
I feel like this is going to get confusing very quickly.
And I just like put my arms in front of my chest.
Do you want me?
have
Oh no, go ahead. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go?
I should get you the information. I spoke to our guest of honor, and she shared some information. Well,
Yeah.
I will give you, and I can address the other captains, the full details, but it's suffice it to say is we need to get to Achbech as quickly as we can.
All right.
Well, it's good to know we're on the right track.
And if you need to, burn the ship itself, we need to get there within a week.
Jock and Stoke
Stoke.
looks at everybody. With all due respect, sir, we're looking at a distance. We've still got about 1,000 miles to go. You want to do it in a week? That's not impossible, but I don't think the ship will hold together, sir.
I would prefer 5 days. Now we could either try to get there via our ship, or maybe, and I kind of turn to Mutaro. Maybe there's another other way
I presume
from your lands. Maybe a mage that could help us there.
Well, there are many skilled wizards, but the Chung are notoriously, let's say, money hungry, and it may cost us quite a substantial amount from our coffers to accrue some
Doesn't
kind of
matter.
travel of that magnitude. But
I
but
would
yes,
sell
there
the
would
ship if need be to do this.
Yes,
you
but,
better tell us the rest of your information. This is very
And sir, I really should point out, you're not allowed to sell the ship anyway. Technically, it still belongs to the Order.
It doesn't matter. We
Go
cannot
on,
let this
Blackston,
pass.
tell us the rest.
I nod and say, Waffen, for now, try to fix her up as best and get us to our destination, which was Bayon Gu, which we're on way to, right? The capital city, is it?
Aye, sir, we should arrive
the
by, well, in a few
And
days.
while we are en route, as I will brief you everybody here.
All right, sir. As
I
he
have the utmost
leaves,
trust in your abilities, but this will be rough.
do not worry. You will make this ship fly 1,000 miles, and then you will make it fly 1,000 more.
Well, if we're doing 2 MU at the moment, that's what, 35 miles an hour? Kilometers, miles, whatever.
Distance measurements.
yes.
Why is everyone smiling? I don't get it.
All right,
And-
Waffenstoke
and-
leaves.
Yeah, and when he left, I kind of just like slam the paper on the table, and I say, she opened up. She told us what the Rexdarkari are planning in the near future, and she told us who the Rexdarkari are.
Wow, you did a lot better than I did.
Well, out with it, man. Who are they?
I had their name.
Oracle
Yes.
Gravla Tajak seems to be the head of them.
No.
Vada, our deacon, seems to be in the cahoots as well, as some others. But the reason why we need to get to Achbech as soon as possible, Archon Vestus who is the Archon from the Dwarvish clans, is on his way there right now, and in a week they will try an assassination attempt on him.
Right.
Oh,
I
doggers.
see. This is really
We
bad.
cannot let this happen. They will try to assassinate him because apparently he suspects that something is wrong. So he could be an ally. And he is an Archon.
We will have to be fast. We'll have to leave the Windswift
And
behind.
we
for
will
sure.
sell the ship if need be.
If we could even find a buyer, but
It's not possible to sell it because of the engines. So we don't need to sell the ship though. It can stay here for repairs while we leave.
It doesn't matter what happens.
I may know. Look, I may not have any particular answers as of yet, but I know someone in the city we might be able to speak to about procuring fast transport. Admittedly, it won't be a particularly pleasant conversation, but I do know someone within the merchant guilds that might be able to point us in the direction of someone that can procure us either a ship or the magical capabilities to travel vast distances.
certainly at the current
It's-
state we're in, we can't do 1,000 miles in less than a month.
No.
Well, we need to. And kind of let the
What about a
letter
what
now
about a
lie on the
message?
table if the others want to kind of take a look at it. But I mean, it's
What if
Actually,
we
no.
were to simply alert the Archon of this assassination attempt? I mean, surely now that we know that this is going to happen, we could get
we
word
have
to
no
it.
oracle at our ship.
And secondly, it
I
can
mean-
be tapped, Mutaru.
To whom are we gonna speak to? Maybe there are others that she didn't
Actually-
know about. Usually these kinds of organizations build up in smaller.
Forgive me, my brain is obviously a bit addled, but it would take the Windswift 28 hours to travel 1,000 kilometers at 35 kilometers an hour.
But in the
That's less than a
State.
day.
but in the state that she is right now, maybe
She can't go
it isn't.
fast.
Well, that's at moderate speed. That's not even at our top speed.
Well, do you think... So, are you sure that the hull can stay together for that time?
This is also a large distance over open water, and unless we know exactly what the weather is, it could potentially be quite catastrophic.
Well, actually, if it's true that at the moderate speed of the Windswift that we can get there quickly, then we could take 2 days to find some repairs for the ship and then just book it as fast as possible. Or we try to find some other covert way of just traveling ourselves. But I would like the support of our crew members.
The other problem is if our enemies are tracking the ship, then they will see us making for
Yes. And kind of pointing at one line on the letter.
I'm reluctant to abandon the Windswift. We could
They
make the
still-
journey with plenty of time if
And
she
I
holds.
I point on the letter and kind of point out they still can track us. They have duplicates of these maps.
Well, we could always do what we always do and have 4 people split in 4 completely different directions and
No.
come around and all meet up in Arkbeg in, a week.
Let's not do that.
So I think
The look on Guy's face.
I think the smartest decision would be go to Abayu, leave the Windswift there for repairs like we planned,
Makes sense.
and then haul as.
Very well. I agree. Well, as long as we cannot counteract the tracking, we are hobbled by it.
From
Yes.
Bionku to Eichberg is about 700 miles over open water. A sailing vessel under normal speed will probably do that in about 5 days, if you're lucky.
What about a Chung vessel? Which is a bit slower than a regular vessel.
We're capable sailors. I think we could be able to handle it.
Chung vessels are notoriously, let's just say, cumbersome and not really built for speed. We'd have to be using a, let's say, a foreign vessel that is docked in the shipyards.
Well, we'll see what is available once we get there.
Yes.
All right.
Very well.
So, Graham,
Mm-hmm.
what did you want to talk with us about?
May I see
I
the
mean,
letter
you're the
real
one who
quick?
summoned us here.
May I see the letter?
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
on the table.
Yeah, I'm gonna peek over it. Does it mention saying anything about our conversation?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All right. It's more of a personal thing, but I would think we all need to be working together than having more suspicions about each other. So, you can quote me on
I
this.
throw a side glance to Con at that.
You can quote me on this. I still don't trust people's words. I still trust their habits. It makes more sense. But this is the smarter decision. You remember those years ago, we were by a campfire. Most of you kind of shared some of your stories of home and where you came from. And you asked me, and I simply said, I don't care, and I don't want to talk about it. I'm going
Yeah, I
to
remember
talk.
you still being grumpy back then.
Yeah,
Good times.
I'm going to talk about it. The real reason why I lost that woman was because I was baited with potential for finding. Well, the main reason why I even came to Hastari in the first place. You see, all of you have something precious. Very precious. You all have names. You have places you've come from. You have what's called an identity. Mostly, right? I don't. I know that I used to be a noble. I don't have hardly any memories of my childhood. I remember my family burned at the stake when I was but 7. And I never knew why. Never knew why they were tortured this way. And I kept asking every single person there, and they would not tell me. They would say, forget it. And then trying to take over my estates, I was deceived by this. And like you see like Greem just crush almost. He's trying to like crush his hand, and like his knuckles pop. Just this woman with red hair and lips. I don't even know her name. But she took my home. She took everything from me. Which is why I have to find that little bitch. And I have to cut her to pieces.
Graham, calm down. You know that you are a noble?
No. I mean, yes, but that's not real. It's not real.
Do you know where your lands were?
It's barely. It's more like a fog.
The city you lived in. What name was it?
Guy, we never talked about that.
Tull.
But what?
Tull. Tull.
Okay. And I say, well, then there's something we can do about it.
But not now. This is. I understand that we have more pressing matters.
Well,
That is why I lost her. I had a chance to find more information about it, and then she took the dagger that you saw. And I was distracted. I lost it, and it was my mistake.
Mutaru abruptly stands up at this point, and his face and demeanor are quite stern as he walks over to Griam. And he says, Mutaru understands where you are coming from, Griam. But Mutaru did not know this nobleman. Mutaru never knew this person with land and family. Mutaru knew you. And Mutaru thinks of you as a friend. And if this woman, whoever she is, brings any kind of pain to one of my friends, rest assured, Mutaru will be there to burn her to cinders. And I put a hand on his shoulder.
Stop. I do not want pity. That is the last thing I want.
Mutaru has many things. Pity is not one of them.
Anyway, it was better for you to know than for me to just keep everything dark.
Well, one thing is for sure. It is good that he told us.
Wasn't easy.
I understand.
It was like scraping my lungs with a bunch of iron nails.
That sounds
We'll
painful.
figure it out.
All right.
Well, that
I
explains
suppose we should go
a
and
lot
try
of
and
what
steer
you-
our ship.
Well, Nexon's steering in the moment. I'm sure he won't crash into anything up here. But, yes.
All of a sudden, guys
Intriguing.
goes, meanwhile, the ship halts.
By the way, worth a little diversionary fact checked. I presume Graham did a thorough cleaning up job of his summoning ritual in my medical.
Look, in all honesty, there'd be no way I would leave that there. I don't want to leave traps.
What's that strange smell of sulfur in the air?
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
Well.
so the Windswift continues to make her way steadily southwest, slowly moving towards the gigantic Chung city of Byongku. And it is not too long until the ship starts to sail out over the outer reaches of the city. It is a sprawling mass of terracotta tiles. Sometimes there's black tiled roofs, blue tiled. It's a patchwork of colour, and little kitchen fires belch forth their smoke, giving an almost mysterious air to the city, as you can see roofs poking out of fog and not much else. But you can hear the sounds of thousands and thousands of cattle folk busy talking in those very low braying voices of theirs to one another. There is quite an atmosphere of industry, and as you continue out over the suburbs of the city, you start to get to the main city itself, which sits on the coastline of the Dossamar Ocean. And the ocean itself is a particularly bleak and black expanse of very cold and hard water. The docklands are extensive. They actually extend for about 3 or 4 miles in either direction of the capital, and are this tangled mass of floating planks and things that reach out into the ocean and are surrounded by various vessels. There are Chung ships, there are Elven ships, there are Cathar ships. All manner of vessels are in port, and there happens to be a ship which does catch everybody's eye simply because of its design. It doesn't have masts, it doesn't have sails, it is almost, for lack of a better word, a black box, which has battle crenellations around its complete circumference. And it is docked alongside several of the larger Chung vessels. Now, the Chung vessels are these large box-like ships. They've got big variegated sails that sit between ribs. They don't believe in the large canvas of the Brunei ships or of the Windswift herself. They rather have these fin-like sails which catch the wind and are more rigid than anything else. Where are you going to put down?
Not in the water.
Oh,
During
right
during this time, I wanted to make I wanted to go into I guess holding quarters or our storage. I want to find a decent bottle of wine.
All right.
I just want to. I want to go to a prisoner.
Okay. You find Hurricane's stash of wine that he keeps for special occasions. It's not hidden, so it's not too hard to find it. It's okay wine. It won't stand up at any princely court, but any of the middle and lower classes would be happy to down it.
Dribble, but it's something.
All right, you head to the holding cell where Heshtal is there. She appears to be sleeping.
Okay. I'll cork it and just set it next to her.
All right.
I'll find a goblet or a mug and
Sure.
pour her one.
She rouses briefly, looks at you, but there is no life in her eyes. She seems as if she is broken and defeated.
Well, seems like you're awake. I poured you a victory goblet for staying alive still.
She looks at the goblet. She looks back at you. She rolls over onto her side and looks away.
She gives you the cold shoulder.
Can you not speak?
She has no
Ew.
tongue anymore.
A dramatic movement, yes. She sits up on the bed and she opens up her mouth, and you can see just the rather hideously crude stump of a tongue glaring back at you.
I told you not to get caught.
Would you please make a dexterity saving throw?
Man, it's great. I love this.
What about the guards that are
Let's see.
positioned there?
It's right here. So I got 20. 20 total.
All right.
Not
So as you say that, she lobs the goblet plus the contents directly at you. It misses you, and yes, you're quite right. The guard that is there, he ducks to the side, but he gets hit with wine full on.
There's a garden there?
Hmm?
Oh, whoops. Thought he was by himself. Oh well. It's like, don't blame me. It's not really my fault. But look, I'm not good at this, as you already gathered from your facial expression as I try to find another goblet and fill it up with more of Eric's wine.
Right.
Just, I wanted to say, well, good luck. And I just turn and leave.
All right. Con, where are you putting the ship down?
Well, I've never been here before, so I consult my cultural advisor, Mutaru, who I'm hoping
boy.
is near to hand, as to an appropriate place to put down. I mean, is there I guess we don't really want
A
to
dry dock or something?
Yeah.
Well,
Do you know the city, Mutaru? Where am I going?
Yes, of course I do. I gaze around to literally find the nearest open fieldy kind of area, or at least a place that we could park it.
there is a large square inside what looks to be some kind of palace or temple that's devoid of life.
I'm not sure
if we
about
were to
that
park
one.
in the if we were to park in the temple, well, the reason Mutara was looking for like any kind of open space is because he knows the Chung are tough enough that if we hired them to move the ship to a dry dock, they'd and then off they'd go. But could they do that from the temple if push comes to shove?
No, the temple is surrounded by walls with little terracotta roofs that protect the top of the wall from rain.
I'm not fully conversant in Chung cultural practice, of course, but that one appears to me to be one where we may end up with people shouting at us.
Yes, most certainly. Let me have another look. Scanning.
Give me a perception check, please.
That is a 10 on the dice, plus my perception.
Whilst he's doing this, I'm looking for
0.
anything that looks like a flying ship dry dock as we cruise in a gentle circle around the city.
So flying ships are not known to exist as far as the general population is concerned. Well, that's changing rapidly.
If you remember, we are supposed to land outside and then ship in, but I mean, with the current situation of the ship.
That's it. Yes, Mutaru?
Unless memory fails me, there should be some form of box kite festival area where there should be small cherubs flying large, copious flying kite type things.
Normally they would do, but there was a massive celebration yesterday, and that particular hill that they normally use was covered in bits and pieces of explosive. So, remembering that, you look out over the city, realizing that the hill is usually directly opposite from the Dion's palace, and sure as nuts, there is this rather large hill that sticks out like a pimple from the city's bottom, basically, as it rises up without any structures on it whatsoever.
Okay. There!
There?
Yes. Bit of an angle, but we can make it.
Okay, I suppose we can park her at a low hover. Bring her around. All crew, prepare for landing.
Over the horn, Captain, I don't need to remind you, please make it as gentle as possible.
Don't worry, Jacques and Stoke, I've got this.
You slowly start to take the ship down, and your piloting roll.
Ooh, that is 20.
Oh, all right. You lower down onto the hill, which normally has grass growing on it, but most of it's been burnt to a cinder because of the fireworks displays that have been going on for the past week all over the lands of the Chung. And the ship lands. You are immediately swamped by a very large ring of heavily armed guards. They look as if they mean quite serious business. They're wearing the lamellea armor of the Chung, all wielding long curved swords, or fairly straight but slightly curved swords, and all looking very, 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 very bullish.
Bataru, you're up.
Are they Bosoni?
They are.
Oh crap. Okay. Mutaru sort of steps out onto the deck and immediately sort of drops to his knees. Great and powerful warriors of Beyond Ku, I am a child of the city. My name is Mutaru. Permission to stand.
The largest one, it's difficult for him to feel like he's intimidating you because you are on a ship that is 25 foot higher than he is, even though he stands at an impressive height of just under 8 foot tall. You have already landed.
1,000 apologies springing forth from my face. It is not our intention to disrespect, but our vessel is gravely injured, and I fear that staying longer than needed airborne may have seen us drop from the sky like 1,000 stones.
He looks the ship up and down. It does look like it has been damaged. Very well. The Doyan will see you. You are to come with me.
Many thank yous. I tell the others and translate basically what's just happened. And say, yes, it's my professional opinion that we should probably go and say hello to the person in charge. As we have landed a ship in the city where, well, basically everything is under their control.
Fair enough. So much for a low profile.
As you say that, you look down the streets, and they are full of these big-eyed faced kids, adults, traders, tourists. Everyone is just looking at this ship.
So, setting question here. The Chung, or the people that live here, do they have an own language?
There is Chung, yes, which is their own dialect, correct.
And aside from Mutaro, is there anybody on board that can speak it?
You'd have to do a run-through of the crew, but it's not likely. Chung is a very difficult language, and is not widely spoken outside of the Empire.
Okay, but this is like a really big city, as you kind of described
Oh,
earlier, right?
yes.
So there will be like people we could find to be translators to us.
Oh, without a doubt. And most of the Chung will speak common anyway. The Chung are mainly a trading people, so they deal with foreigners all the time.
All right. Okay, that makes it easier.
I don't like the way those children are looking at us. Can I look around and make sure there are no urchins like I used to be once?
Give me your perception check.
And kind of looking over to Con at this point and just shrug my shoulders and say, like, do you think we are invited too, or is it just our most honorable?
We are most certainly all needing to go, because they would find any kind of subterfuge great dishonor and a show of disrespect if any of us were not to attend.
Of course they would. Jasani, can you keep the ship under our control?
I believe so,
sir. I will go find my good robes.
All right, so
I will wear their customary armor with yes.
All right.
Mutaru gets his best parade outfit. Although he's recently burnt his best wig, so he's going to make do with his second best wig.
All right. So you four disembark the vessel and are immediately surrounded by these massive ox folk. They make Mutaru look small. Their average height is about 7.5 foot. Heavily armed, big beasts, and when they walk, there is such a weight to each step that you almost feel the immaculately cobbled streets beneath your feet shake. They don't need to say anything like make way. The crowds automatically part and allow you to navigate through. Graham, you can see darting in and amongst the crowd, there are smaller species of Chung as well, the ones that Mutaru spoke about when he did his briefing, with the curved horns that stick out the front. They have the air of those whom, if they could get close enough, would probably get as much out of your pocket as they could.
If I see them, I'm going to just as a warning, just like draw the blade, be like, shh.
You're not sure if one of them smiles because there's all this hair all over the place, but you realize that they change their demeanor from, here's some foreign targets, to, okay, they know what we do. There's some respect there. We can be with that, right? So the procession makes its way through the painted city, and I say painted city because every building is a different shade of red or orange or green. Paint is lathered everywhere and then offset with wood or gold foil by the looks of things. There's copper everywhere. It's just this gaudy, brightly coloured menagerie of paint.
So
I'm home.
Bright. Wow. It's too much.
I am in my good robes, as I said. I've left my scimitar behind. I just have my staff.
Okay. You were taken
and
quite...
all of a sudden, Mutaru just makes sense.
Yes.
Too much sense.
You're taken to that courtyard that you were going to land into, and through it into the larger structure beyond. This is as gaudy, also painted bright red with gold trim everywhere. Quite spectacular in its own way. led into a large hall with these black columns made out of dark wood that reach up into the ceiling. And there's this pervasive smell in this building of incense that's been burning for decades. So there's that old smell plus the sweet, fresh smell of new incense that's been added. Sitting on a divan is a mass of hair, and there's some horns sticking out at one point, but it's hair everywhere, and there's this nose, there's this big gold ring that sticks out the end of the nose. And you realize this is possibly the largest Chung you have ever seen by girth. There are just mounds of Chung, and these little hooves stick out the base of this divan, this cushion thing that it's sitting on. Podgy little fingers come out bedecked with gold rings and hair. And it looks at the four of you. The guards stop short about 20 foot away from it and look at the four of you. Mutaru, the thing to do now would be to bow until he gives you leave to rise.
I'll do a couple of things here. Firstly, I'm going to connect
Fireball.
Fireball. No.
All right.
I'm going to connect us all telepathically, and I'm going to translate using the telepathy. So they should be able to hear in real time what the
Relatively speaking,
Chung
all right?
is saying. Yeah. And I will. It's a one-way direction thing, so it's just more an outward thing. Mutaru will wash like one of his cloaks aside to sort of reveal he's not carrying any weapons or anything like that. Speaking of which, yes, Mutaru would have left the Naginata on board the ship. He would not have brought it for this. And he bows, and in his head he also tells the others, make sure you're bowing lower than his eye level.
It's not hard as he's so tall, huh?
Yeah, quite easy. And Mutaru bows and just silent.
You definitely get a lot of disdain from Grim. Be like, really?
Do you bow?
Yes.
You bow?
Really?
Con?
Oh, yes.
So
Blackson?
Blackson still not wearing his armor. This is like a formal occasion. He still has his arming sword, although the main weapons and the armor is missing. This is more like a ornamental piece, mostly, right? And he's wearing quite nice attire, like a vest, and that is from home, basically, like from his courts. And he would put his hand on and just...
Dream takes a long time, but he's like very slowly, also with his already like leaning forward head, just.
Eventually you hear, the Order sends its greetings, I take it. You may rise, you may rise, you may rise. It does not seem as if you are accustomed to bowing before those who are your betters.
Yes, your magnificence is something we are not accustomed to.
Twitch.
We are the captains of the Windswift from the Order of the Hestari, and we beg your permission to supply, to repair our ship, and to procure transport for our next journey.
And in exchange?
In exchange, we shall open trade with our proud people.
I was not aware the Order was a people.
We, sadly, are but small petals floating in the wind, spurned about by the chaos of our journey. The Order offers very little in our representation. We can only offer what we ourselves carry aboard our vessel.
Money.
Ah,
Universal
the little
language
one
there.
speaks. Money. Now you are talking more the language I understand. My erstwhile comrade and kinfellow speaks beautifully, but like the zephyr in the morning, it is but fleeting.
Petals?
Gold. How much gold are you willing to pay for us to repair your vessel? I have been informed it looks as if it has been gnawed upon by the 1,000 fleas and is covered in sand.
It's had some dings and bangs and a few scorches here and there, but she's perfectly good ship, I assure you.
Our main concern is to make her seaworthy again.
As quickly as possible.
Certainly
The
aren't any
important thing
fleas
is we need
aboard.
to fix the keel.
It will cost you 2,000 gold.
I look at Blackstone.
For
I also
what?
look at Blackstone.
I look at Blackstone.
We all are just like,
And
It
what
will
do
be
you offer for
repaired.
our...
In my private docks. Brought up to its specifications.
Okay, so this is like a setting question. We already established that the ships of the Chung aren't necessarily engineering masterworks, right?
They are robust, giant, heavy tanks, basically.
They're basically big shoe boxes in water, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, and this is another question on economy. What is 2,000 worth, right? I mean, it can be a lot, and it can be. So
Sure.
is this like extraordinary much, or is this just
For the common
reasonable?
man, 2,000 gold is something that they might see in 10 years' worth of hard work.
right?
The
but
average
we are
salary
talking
is
about a ship here, so I mean,
Correct. Correct. So 2,000 gold to repair the ship is not a huge amount of money. You would imagine to commission a ship like this would probably cost in the region of about 150 to 200,000. So this kind of cost is fairly low, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I would think so too. And
That
he
sounds-
said he would bring it up to specification. I think the Jock and Thugs have a few ideas about that, but I'll let them argue with the thick-headed cows.
Well, you know what? You know what, Blackstone? If the Chung bring it up to spec, then you know that the ship's not going to look like this anytime soon. It is going to be this big, tanky thing that
Yeah.
is just not going to be so hard to destroy.
actually,
And
kinda
I
like
nod
that.
and say, and you will allow us to get on a ship and travel towards the Dwarvish kingdoms within tomorrow morning?
He looks at you, raises a hand, and another voice from behind a screen starts to speak as he steps out. I was certain that there was going to be a certain amount of speed that you would require, and so I happened to be here and spoke with the Dion. I will offer you passage to the Dwarvish territory. And as the voice speaks, this large, very wolf-like humanoid steps out. It is a Graith. He is dressed in very fine robes, and in theory, as far as the last update of the Graith Empire is concerned, he should be technically invading your territory, as the Furus of the Graith has declared war against most of Braxia. So what he's doing here is uncertain.
And who will be covering this bill?
Consider it a gift of the Graith Empire to the Order. It would be my personal pleasure to spend some
So
time
you-
with you.
So you are part of the pack?
Is that what you call the Empire these days? I shall have to update my records, of course. He says. He gives this... he's not even trying to hide it. He is a slimy diplomat.
I got that, yeah.
Who's working, obviously, an angle. He's inexperienced at hiding his predatory
Intentions.
nature. Even the way he walks, he kind of slinks forward with his head held demurely, so it looks as if he's a wolf who really just wants to help the sheep keep warm in winter.
This is a kingly gift. Potentially with lots of strings attached to it.
There are no strings attached to it. I am here at the bequest of our beloved Furus. May he reign for all time. He has granted me a certain leeway in how I deal with individuals such as yourselves and the Chung, for example. And I have the opportunity now, I find myself, to have 4 captains of an order which the great empire supports, as you well know, who are in need. And it would be my honor to provide assistance to them in this time.
The order is very grateful for this abundant gift, for we do need speed.
By what means will you convey us?
No doubt you will have seen my vessel docked in the Chung harbor. It is a large black vessel.
Without the sails.
You have seen it then. I am glad. You will also understand.
Forgive my curiosity, but many here have claimed that the Cathar have among the fastest ship. A ship without sails. Surely you've got some strong men with oars or something, some other kind of secret to make such a bold claim for your locomotion.
Whilst I am not at liberty to say how the Wraith are making their vessel most mobile as I will demonstrate it is, I will assure you Wraith technology is comparable to anything that you might find anywhere else in Braxia. As a matter of fact, I think you'll be hard-pressed not to accept that Wraith technology is far superior to anything that you will find anywhere else in the empires.
Just like trying to almost in a you've never seen me do this before, but a very very fake friendly way on Blackston Mutaro's shoulders, yes, I also agree, because I have heard and seen some of your technology. I believe that this is an amazing gift that we should definitely take, and we should go with in court and honesty with the Order, because the Order is grateful for any assistance that we get, and we shall remember you. What is your name?
You have seen Wraith technology?
Only very slight. Mostly rumors, but I'm excited to see more.
Sire, to conclude our deal, and can I turn towards the Kettlekin again?
Yes.
I think it is most generous of you to offer you your personal docks and the expertise of your engineers and carpenters to work on our ship. With our voyage being secured, apparently, I think 1,600 gold seems like a generous offer.
2,000 was a generous offer. 1,600. He turns his big head over to the Wraith who is standing there rubbing his paws together. And the Wraith nods. Yes, of course, this is not a problem. We will make the shortfall, of course. My beloved bovine. And with that, he nods demurely. The great Chung looks at you. Then so be it. 1,600 from our captains.
Thank you, wise one.
Nice going, Blackston.
Is there anything else you wish from us while we are your visitors?
Ambassador Collier has graciously offered to take you on his vessel. I'm sure your ship has an engineer who will oversee the repairs.
I'm sure they will.
Yes, the Jock and Stokes will both be primary supervisors on the repairs.
Then I have no further need of you. I have your coin. I'm sure your bursar will make sure it is delivered in a timeliest manner.
Half now, half on completion.
Collier steps forward. Let us not worry about the details. It is only money after all. We will make sure that there is no problems here, he says to the Chung leader. Then he turns back to the four of you. And of course, if you are eager to get under your way, the ship is at our beck and call. So you merely need to tell me when you want to leave, and I will happily allow you to board the vessel.
Well, I believe time is of the essence. We should leave by day's end.
Let's get our things together and go.
What time is it?
Now it is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
All right. So what by that it means is like we'll set out at dusk. We'll use the time in between to get some supplies from the Windswift. Maybe do any last-minute shopping that we need to. Have a brief, obviously, discussion about what's just occurred, and then we'll head straight to the ship.
All right.
So who was you named him? But it was like I didn't quite catch the name of the Graith.
Ambassador Collier.
Is his first name Border?
All right.
Nice.
Keep
Ambassador.
making those jokes, Hamburger.
Ambassador. Is it just us four who are invited, or are parts of our crew welcome as well?
No, naturally, you may bring as many of your people as you wish. I have been given the duty on behalf of the Führers to extend the paw of the Graith in friendship towards those that we would deem as allies.
Very well. We will visit you on your vessel once we are ready.
I await
Thank
with
you.
eagerness.
As do we.
The four of you return to the Windswift. There's no problems there. You are given your guards who make way for you.
We need.
What's your angle here, Graham?
Oh God, we need to go to. Are we in a meeting room? Are we in an enclosed private space?
Yeah.
I can connect us and we'll have a private conversation in our
Well, it's only
heads.
one way from you, remember? But yes, you can. Yeah, well, I mean, you get back to the Windswift. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Into the
I
meeting room.
have so many suspicions. I think that Graith, I think he's not with our order. I bet he's with that new order. But that's why I was trying to put up a front that, like, we're part of that new order. So that way
Maybe,
we don't
maybe
have-
not, but he certainly had his paw on your people.
You have to keep your enemies closer than your friends.
That was addressed to Mutaro, by the way. I don't know.
Oh,
Yes, the Chung have had a long-standing relationship with the Graith, but it is in my experience that if coin isn't changing hands with the Graith, then usually you're paying some other higher price.
He
But,
seemed to be having your leader on a leash.
I sorry, I assume this guy wasn't the Emperor, right?
No, he's not the Emperor of the Chung, but he is definitely he's the Dymo of the city, which is almost as important.
Yeah, it's like a senator, I guess. It's the closest.
It's more like a
Sort of
count or
approximation.
something,
Yes,
right? A daimyo.
Yeah. I would take offense to this, I think. Would Mutaro take offense? Yeah, why not? Let's take
up to
offense.
you.
Hey, buddy.
No, I take offense. I just made up my mind.
Think about this for a moment.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the Yak folk. I never really sat there and gave them much thought.
Yeah,
but
that's
no,
okay.
I'd take some offense to that. It's like the Chung may be mercenaries and work for coin, but ultimately we choose our own destiny, Blackston. And whatever arrangement that that the daimyo has with the Graith is entirely for the good of the Chung in that city. And I would take no relationship. I would not underestimate any relationship that he chooses to have, for he is among the wisest and most capable of our kind to make these decisions. The Wraith, however, come as varied as any other race.
They're predators.
This one here, yes, and this one clearly has his eyes set on something. I have not been told many stories of Wraith generosity in my time, and as you know, I am a very big fan of stories.
They're not generous.
They're not generous, I agree. But I'm still worried about
It's all very convenient, of course.
the Daimyo seeking the approval of the Wraith and asking him for permission to make the deal.
Right. I felt off. I don't like this.
Ultimately,
Well, I think that was more akin to making up the amount that Blackston was trying to save than any particular type of arrangement that they have with us. But
Even so,
listen, look, we can postulate all we want, but beggars cannot be choosers, and in this case, we cannot say no to a gift horse
So
so
what will we
readily
do?
aimed.
So what will we do with our crew? I think the best thing is that they stay aboard the Windswift.
Listen, I might have a lot of pride in the Chung, but I also know that really, when it comes down to it, there are some who would sell their own mother for a quick coin. Perhaps we should take a minimal crew with us, just in case the Chung or, touch wood, the Wraith decide to take a sneaky peek at what lays within the engineering rooms
Well, that's
of our
why
airship.
I think everybody should stay aboard. It also
Right.
would keep much easier appearances if we stay here for other people to know.
except
Yes, the Windswift is safest with her crew. We don't know what we're going into.
Yes, but we do need to make our way to Akbeg.
Yes, well,
But
we
that
have
is-
a ship offered. If it's as fast as its owner claims it is, we'll get there. Any problems arising along the way, we are more than capable of dealing with between the four of us.
I
I
agree.
also would feel I'm okay with putting myself in danger with these
We leave the crew.
carnivores, but my crew, our crew, we're still
I
one
imagine
person
the
short.
Jock and Stokes and Lieutenant Ty will need all the Order crew member help they need when dealing with the Chung engineers and such to ensure that everything goes smoothly. Also, the more of our people aboard the Windswift, the less likely for another case of sabotage to occur.
I agree.
Perhaps another idea is perhaps to maybe hire some Chung ourselves.
Do you really think we need mercenaries?
No, we have our crew. I
What's
trust
wrong
them
with
more.
mercenaries?
I trust them more than people that work for gold.
The four of us are the only people we can really trust in this current climate.
No.
well, no. What I'm saying is, like, do we have at least one person who has experience of Akbeg? Do we have, like, in our crew, maybe one person, just one person that come with us? No, we don't have anyone.
I speak Dwarvish.
There you go. Blackston speaks Dwarvish. We are four captains of the Order. It's time we stopped tiptoeing around this and just acted directly.
Well,
That
is
is
there
really
anything we need to
unlike
talk
you.
about? I think I still need to work out some things so we don't end up without any money or a ship.
Now I'm trying to put this together.
I would like to see if I can get my hands on some new armor, or some, just some new armor if I could. But we'll see what's here.
All right. Yeah.
There's something I'm concerned about though. Before we all head off on our own directions. So are we going to be? We're not going to be alone in that ship, are we? Because that Wraith is going to have to.
He will have a crew.
Okay, so he'll have his own crew, but then.
I mean, he came here somehow.
Right, I understand.
He's
like-
offering us a ride. Clearly, he has the means to perform the act.
No, obviously he'll do it. What I mean is, like, when we may need conversations in private, do you think there is any technology here that could give us a private conversation? Otherwise, we'll have to keep a vow of silence while we're on the ship.
I'm sure
I
we will find a
think-
way.
Our training in the Order will give us ways to communicate information without divulging it voluntarily.
It's just a safety net, but, well, let's go on our separate ways then.
All right, so you have an afternoon before you are to board the Great vessel.
Game time, I think that's the thing that we can speak about afterwards. So this is just like trading and dealing and what I want to do.
Correct. So you can go shopping, and as you say, we'll handle that off screen, unless you're buying anything specific. This is beyond coup. It's like going shopping in any of the major capitals of the world. Everything is here, but finding it is a laborious exercise of speaking to traders who will send you off to so and so and it's on the other side of the city and.
Which
So
I wanted to double check that armor with the strange alligator placing.
Right.
Like is it just basic studded leather or something, or?
It's very well made. Very robust. Yes, so you could have enchantments thrown onto it at a later stage because of the quality of it.
Okay, because I wanted to. Cause I think I will figure out what that is. So.
All right. The sun starts to set, and your appointment with the Great Ambassador arrives.
I would be in full battle ready, although having like not like battle ready at the meaning like drawn blades and
the only
stuff, but
shopping that I will have done is to replenish my medical and spell component supplies, and beyond that I have nothing I really need.
All right. So the four of you assemble and then head down to the docks and the black ship. Standing on the dock is the ambassador, pacing up and down. His large shaggy tail starts to involuntarily wag when he sees you arriving. You can see with a conscious effort he calms himself slightly, and his tail seems to hang a little bit less.
This is not going to go well.
just from not knowing the setting as much, the Graith, is there anything that they would like personally like or be interested in what we could get or what I could have gotten in the city?
Yeah, here's a bacon.
Here's a bone.
I can't help wondering what would happen if he threw a stick right now.
This is the trick. Nobody knows very much about the Graith. 300 years ago, they expelled the dragons from their territories, just as everybody else did. They signed the Treaty of the Orders, which put into place the fact that the Order can operate within their territory, but then they issued a mandate to the great empires of Braxia. We officially declare war on you, and our intention is to conquer you through military might and to impose the rule of our Furos and bring order back to Braxia now that we are scattered peoples. Any vessel entering their territory will immediately be destroyed, and there is to be no trade or commerce with them whatsoever. And that was the last that was heard from them. The great kingdoms, the Empire of Athene Vasul, the Brunei, said...
But with them being in the treaty with us, there are people from the orders there.
So... yes, there is an order, Archon, who is responsible for the Graith territory. There are some Graith within the order themselves, but they are not on active patrol duty in other territories. They work as the Tetracons.
Is there no communication between that branch and the rest of the order?
No, there is. It's just that they're not very often seen. They're more back-end administrators and that kind of thing.
They look after their own patch and don't involve themselves with us.
Correct. Any order member, by the way, who's not Graith and is found within Graith territory will be treated as a spy and executed accordingly. So the Graith are not a friendly people. What is known is that their merchandise, generally speaking, what few artifacts have surfaced, are of excellent quality and very, very efficiently made. But other than that, it's unknown. The Chung have had dealings occasionally with them, but usually it's on ships at sea where there is exchange of coin for services.
Okay, well then, I have no idea what I can bring him.
I'm so glad you could make it. Please, my vessel is ready for you. What is our destination, so that I might inform the captain as to where we're going?
Of course, it's Morle.
The dwarvish city on the south. That's interesting. Very well. I stand to be corrected, but we will be there by sunrise. I hope this is agreeable to you.
Of course.
I'm looking at a ship.
Well, the ship appears to be made out of iron. You can't see a wooden timber anywhere. And the hull itself has the usual nautical design of a fish. The deck itself, metal panels. There is a very simple structure on top of the deck which provides cover, but there is no helmsman visible, there is no wheel visible, and as you step onto the ship there is very little rocking from the water. It's almost as if you stepped onto a structure. He takes you to a set of stairs which leads into this very well lit chamber beyond. And apart from himself, you can see four other, you assume, sailors, but they all appear to be wearing heavy plate mail, which is black in colour and is not like the plate mail that you used to. This fits very tightly over their bodies, accentuating their canine-like features, with their helmets being these large muzzles with enlarged fangs. Very almost regal wolf-like helmets. He leads you inside. I would give you a tour of the vessel, but I fear that so many areas are considered to be sensitive in nature. I can at best show you the deck when we are underway, and perhaps I could answer some few of your questions, but...
Ambassador, we are short on time. So
of course.
We can speak about anything further on our way there? To our destination?
Goes to one of the four sailors and says something in Graith. The sailor or guard or whatever he is nods and leaves. The ambassador points to a very well-made table, and a very heavy dark wood table with very, very rounded chairs. They don't have backs to them. It's easier to sit when you have a big tail, that your chair doesn't have a back to it.
So just stools, basically.
Yes. With some fairly ornate silverware, which is all very tasteful. But you can see that the symbol of the Graith Empire, these three black stripes on a really red, blood-red flag, are everywhere. Reminding the inhabitants that you are now members, or at least in a Graith space. He offers you wine and food, and
I'll take the seat that is offered.
Of course, I understand we have similar restrictions in place over certain technological aspects of our own vessels, but come on, as the pilot of our vessel, my burning question is, how do you propel a vessel of iron such as this through the waters at speed with no outward sign of propulsion? I'm fascinated. You must be able to tell me something.
Lexton is not eating any of the stuff
of the food
on the table. Yeah.
There are no fruits, there are no vegetables in sight. It's a variety of different types of meats. Lots of sausages. Mutaru's digging in. It's exquisitely presented. It's beautifully done. The meat just melts off of the bone. It's so good. I cannot say much about the propulsion of this vessel. What I can, however, say is that the gnomes are not the only ones who have the ability to propel a vessel at speed.
Well, I look forward to seeing what I can of it.
There is a very subtle motion as the ship pulls away from the dock, and from the stairway and open door you can hear the calls of the sailors from the quayside, as the ship moves away. There is a subtle rocking of the water, but nothing in comparison to what you'd experience on a wooden sailing vessel. There's also no slow build-up of speed. She starts to move and then very quickly starts to propel herself through the water. You can see through the large portals that are on the one side of the room, the coastline now starting to move away. You estimate you're moving at about 70 miles an hour.
Now that we're away from prying ears, Ambassador, what do you wish from us?
I merely wish to extend the hand of the Führers in friendship to our beloved members of the Order. It was chance that I happened to be in Byung-Ku, working on some minor negotiations with the Chung, when I happened to see your vessel arrive in quite a state of disrepair.
Well, yes, but the Graith...
Thanks, Tom. Really add atmosphere.
Everyone looks
Have not-
at Mutaru for a moment and then continues talking.
The Graith are not necessarily famous for their kind-heartedness. Famous for your quality, efficiency, certainly. Not quite kind-heartedness, though. So what gives?
You are perhaps more perceptive than I gave you credit for. Certainly you are...
It is our job.
Ah, but of
It's-
course,
when
this
there's
is why
bullshit,
you
we can
are
smell it.
members of the Order, yes. I seized the opportunity to bring the four of you aboard this vessel so that I might lay out how would you say it?
Opportunity?
Yes. There is something happening within the Graith Empire which has caused concern amongst certain individuals.
Ooh.
And there are some of us who would see this corrected. However, there are others who are perhaps in higher positions who feel that inaction is the best course to take.
And you are the former.
I represent those who are the former. I myself am merely an ambassador and here to find friends for those who need them. I am neither for or against the course of action, merely the
course.
courier of the message.
You will be very much victorious in the end, I am sure of it.
I am also assured of a victory. Trust me. I would not be in my position, yes? So, to business. There is a citadel within the Graith Empire, known as Stalk Castle.
Sounds very vampiric.
It is the seat of the Führer's power within the Empire. There have been rumors that there are things within Stalk Castle that is not entirely savory.
And what do you wish from us?
Savory how?
The Graith are a very proud and noble people. We believe in the strength of our breeding lines. We are naturally a superior species, but
Okay.
there are times when our country folk decide that there might need to be
Outsiders
improvements
needed?
made. No, there are improvements that need to be made to the people of the Graith Empire. And they turn to alternative sources of power for this. We believe that within Ausdach there are some experiments that are being taken place that deal with the dragons themselves. In
Overall,
truth, my journey was to head to an anchor stone and hopefully encounter members of the Order so that I might report this directly.
Then I'm most puzzled. The closest one would have been Ulantor Anchor, would it not?
I was there for a period of time. Only there was no activity, and I had also business to conclude with the doyo of the Byongku city. That is another matter which does not concern you in the slightest, I'm sure.
No.
I have now reported what I know to be happening within the Ausdach area.
Let me get this straight. You believe that something untoward is going on in the seat of power of your empire, and that this has something to do with dragons.
You must understand this is very sensitive information and very difficult to get accurate reports on. So it is the idea that there is something untoward happening within the castle.
But
you would be amazed to find that we might be less surprised at this news than you would expect.
It is our job, after all, to find such dealings.
And on top of that, overall, you just want this to be covert and hushed, and have the proud Graith totally handle it. Winky, winky. We get the jinky.
That, and I would prefer, if the order did suddenly arrive, that it was under your own investigations and not as the request of concerned citizens of the Empire.
Now,
Right.
to open up an official investigation, we would need some cause for concern, some evidence that led us there. As you noticed, we do not come from the Great Empire, and people who go there are fairly vetted by your own ones. Now, what do you suggest we tell our superiors?
He goes to a small cupboard made out of black wood, opens it up and pulls out this large box, which he brings over. He looks at Mutaru, who is still nomming on the excellent food, goes to a small table and puts the box down, then very carefully opens the box. The smell of rotting meat suddenly decimates the aroma of the cooked meat very briefly. As repulsive as it is, I believe that this will answer your question.
Kind of standing up, going over next to him, taking a look.
Mutaru will put down his chicken wing and go and have a look as well.
Yep.
I get my tweezers out.
We are all going to look at it.
Everyone looks into the box.
We're all like, oh, that's nasty.
There is a severed hand lying in the box. Normally that would not cause much concern, but it is definitely Graith. The paw pads at the end of the fingers, the claws, the hair. Moving up the length of the arm, however, towards the wrist, you start to see scales that appear to have grown out of the same skin that the hair has. And those scales extend up to just below the elbow, which is where the specimen ends. And by the time it gets to the elbow, it's completely scales. And it's these very diamond-shaped, hard black scales.
What are the circumstances under which you came to be in the possession of this? I look at him.
I'm not at liberty to say much other than this was presented to a certain individual within the Führer's government, which he brought it to me and asked that I reach out to the orders to investigate.
Is the hand currently placed palm down or palm up?
Palm down.
Mutaru is going... I mean, I don't think Mutaru's a careful person. Mutaru's going to basically reach into the box and sort of flip it upside down.
Okay.
So the palm's facing up.
As you grab it and lift it, you feel that all the meat inside has gone soggy. So as you're turning it over, bits of skin sloughs off. this putrid grey goo oozes out.
Bat his hand away.
You flip it over, and you can see the palm is the normal padded palm of a Graith. But again, the scales are completely covering the inside of the arm as well.
No symbols?
No.
Juicy.
I get out my doctor's bag, my tweezers, a scalpel, and a little glass jar with a cork in it, and I take a sample of the scales and flesh around it.
All right.
And,
I look over
but
to
it
the
doesn't
Graith. So did you need a hand?
Come on.
I think they've got an extra one.
Oh, that is your human jokes. Yes. Haha. Very funny. Yes.
Looks like it's
No,
made
it's not. It's really not.
I pop the cork back on my little jar. I think you can take that away now.
Yeah, it does smell quite repulsive.
It does.
I'll close the
anything in
box
our
and
training
Give it back to the
or my druidic knowledge account for people growing scales, other than somebody casting a magic spell on them, I guess.
No, not spontaneous scale growing. No.
Some sort of magic, perhaps? I cast Detect Magic.
All right. You cast detect magic on the arm.
Well, that makes you see basically every magic around you, right? Interesting.
Yes. So the arm itself has definite residue on it of magic. It's you stare at it for a while, you get a better impression, and after a few moments, you get the sense that this is a mixture of alteration magic, sort of transmutation magic, something along those lines, as well as necromancy. The room itself, by the way, also has several areas that glow with magic. The large flag that hangs over the one wall, for example, glows quite heavily of magic. But that's as you sort of casually glance back towards your companions. Do you pause on that for any length of time? It is fairly obvious when you have magic, detect magic cast, your eyes have glow purple as you're seeing into the magical realm.
No, I mean, I'm really focused on one specific subject of inquiry at the moment, so as soon as I'm done examining the arm as much as I can, I switch my detect magic off and turn to the others and go, well, definitely magic, bit of necromancy in there as well.
Ooh.
That is the same conclusion we came to.
Not good.
So dragon activity with necromancy. So
I don't know, does this fit with knowledge from training or I mean, is this something that happened in the past? Anything? Does this marry?
You can
with
all
any
make history
information?
checks.
Woohoo! 20.
All right. There was a case about 120 years ago of this demented necromancer tiefling who tried to take the scraps of dragons and combine them together to create this Dracolich type of creature. It required a mass operation of 3 ships from the Order to defeat the creature, but upon its destruction they realized that it wasn't a true dragon incarnation. It was more of an animated corpse than anything
Zombie
else.
dragon.
So it didn't pose a significant threat, but that's the biggest sort of historical reference that you can think of.
Puts me in mind of that time. Can you remember reading about that tiefling?
Tiefling, huh?
Sorry, I was distracted. What? I rolled an 11.
I rolled a 5.
I give them the gist of this.
All right.
Bullet point it.
And I'm supposed to be good at that shit.
I know! There's a +5 to history.
There was
it's like,
that case.
right.
We did it in case history. Times when it wasn't actually dragons, but looked like it could have been. I don't know if that
Doesn't fit the MO. This is a humanoid person.
Do you think there was a
looks
ritual
like
related
somebody's
to this?
experimenting again? Is
Someone is always experimenting,
Yeah.
but this is troubling, Ambassador.
on top
you're
of
correct.
everything, it is.
Yeah, but what if it was a ritual related to having to maybe transform into something similar to dragons to maybe communicate and reach with the dragons?
Ambassador, we will need to bring this to our superiors and then figure out if we are allowed into the Great Territory altogether. But you certainly have our attention.
My only personal request, and this is why I was happy to pay the shortfall of your ship's construction and repairs, would be that you please keep the source of the
And your name
items.
is already forgotten, Ambassador.
Excellent. If you could claim that the hand was given to you perhaps by a wrecked Graith ship and a sailor happened to have it on him, that would be, we think, acceptable. It would not raise any fur within the Empire at all. They would assume that it is a disgruntled operator within Ausdach Castle who has stolen it away and has tried to escape to the realms beyond.
Greener pastures, eh?
We
Well,
do not
could
call
we
them
keep the box
greener
then?
pastures, but yes, certainly had tried to escape paradise.
We are keeping the box, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes, it is.
Otherwise, we
I'll,
have no.
It's a nice box.
Mm.
Is that mahogany?
All right, so with that gone, the smell starts to clear out and he opens up the portals. Are you going to do anything for the remainder of the evening? He's quite happy to make small talk, but he can't give you too much more information about the ship itself.
I like to wait
I
on.
had been considering eating, but
Well,
instead
Mutaru
I
seems
go up on
fine.
deck.
I'll go up on deck with Con, and I'm actually going to take a good look at the bamboo stick that I have, and sort of maybe give it a good look over while I'm in the sun, meditate with it.
All
In
right,
the sun?
it's nighttime.
Sorry, in the
We left in
it's
the evening.
nighttime.
We'll
in
be
the
there in the
sun.
morning.
That's
So
right. in the twilight then.
All right, Graham.
I'd like to. I like to see what the crew security is like what their general rounds are if people are,
right.
staying awake.
Blackston.
I'm keeping an eye on Graham.
I'll easily tell you about it.
So the crew, much to your perhaps disappointment, Graham, you have never seen more alert guards in your life.
Damn.
It's as if the King of Brunei was on board this vessel. There is only one other entry point below decks, and there are 2 guards posted there at all times. And even though now you are sailing on a black ocean in the dark of night, there's nothing to see, they stand there, and it's a very simple little test that you can conduct to see that they have low light vision. So they'll see anybody approaching them from quite some distance.
Well, I don't have low light vision, so
So there's really no way for me to try to sneak
Well,
around these puppy
Graham,
dogs. eh?
come here. Let's talk about what you kind of we talked about yesterday.
Oh, come on.
You could possibly slide down the side of the ship and get in through a portal, but you remember that, well, the sides of the ship were sheets of steel, so there's almost nothing to grip onto there.
I'm not very strong.
And we're also very fast right now.
That's right, that's right. The ocean is slipping past at a significant rate of knots. So it probably would behoove you not to. You also get a sense that they have a pretty good nose on them, because yeah, they have pretty big noses. Yeah,
Probably better nose than eyes.
Con, you're on deck. You said you were sort of looking as around as you can.
Yeah, just taking in the scenery,
All right.
trying to, like, you know, having a look at the ship itself and how it moves through the water and whatever
Okay.
I can get, whatever I can see from the bits I'm allowed to wander about in, and, you know, enjoying the
Right.
stars in the sky if there are any.
Yeah, absolutely. The sky is full of stars, and now that you're out over the Dossamar Ocean, there's no light sources to hide them whatsoever. The ship seems to be just moving through the water. You don't know. There's no fins. There's no oars. There doesn't appear to be a magic anything around the ship. She just seems to be punching through the water. Now, what you can see out the back of her is this very strange. It looks like a tube of bubbles being shot out from underneath the ship, and then slowly making their way up to the surface as it's into the wake of the ship. But that's all that you get to see, I'm afraid.
Well, once I've had my fill of sightseeing, I take myself off to bed.
Yeah, all right, that's not a problem. Mutaro, the reed that you are looking at, it does seem to just be a growing bamboo shoot.
Growing?
Well, that does cause you pause for thought. Yes, it's got a little green leaf that has now sprouted off of the one nodule about halfway up it. It tastes like bamboo.
I sort of swing it.
As you swing it, is it the wind? Is it maybe it's something on the ship? You swear you hear destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny.
You gotta try it again.
Just do a half swing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, like I'm gonna try. I'm almost gonna try and conduct you like destiny.
There's no other sound, just the switch.
Okay. That was strange and slightly terrifying. I feel like I'm not going to meditate out here. I'm going to bed.
All right.
Just-
And unless you're going to try anything, Graham,
I really want.
Oh, he is not.
under the
He's not.
protection of Blackstone's eye, there is 4 beds that have been set up in that same chamber where you were entertained to dinner, and the ambassador leaves you later on that evening. Unless you're going to try anything.
Once he leaves and we are alone, I would speak to Con and ask him what he saw once he had his... Because I'm aware, since you said it's visual, that I was aware of his magic detection thing going on. If he saw anything.
Oh, no, nothing other than what I mentioned before. Some magic working was definitely employed to transform this creature. Unfortunate.
I was wondering, did you potentially have any kind of look at us? Since you looked in our direction? Just for a bit? I'm concerned if they left any potential spells on us to overhear our conversation.
Without this actually being mechanical
the depths
facts.
of your paranoia never cease to amaze me, Graham.
Without-
I didn't look at you with magic eyes. I don't know.
Without this actually having mechanical impact on D&D, Lex would say, no, of course, I would realize if a spell would be placed upon me.
All right. Anything else?
But what I will do is I will cast Divine Sense just to get a feeling of what is happening around.
All right.
So this will give me, if there's a celestial, a fiend, an undead around in 60 feet of me. And you said this is like a fairly small boat, right? With like just 5 crew or 6 crew of 6.
So far, of what you've seen, you've only seen about 6.
And I would also know if there's a hallowed or unhallowed space nearby, if that makes sense.
Okay. You immediately detect that the entire ship is unhallowed. There has been a very definite effort to make sure there are no gods here. But aside from that, you don't pick up any other presence that should or should not be here.
Alright, so basically what happens is my eyes start to glow a little bit, and just like immediately... we need to get off this boat.
All right, Blackston.
No. The hand isn't the problem we have here.
Okay. Why do we need to jump? Get off
No,
the
not
ship.
jump.
Well, you're the one freaking out.
Mutaro is going to sleep.
Yeah.
I like shove Mutaro a bit. Just this includes everyone, you dummy.
Goblins. Oh.
These are godless people.
Oh no.
Godless.
They're-
They have no religion of their own. I'm sure they had, did they not?
They do themselves.
This place does not.
The ship.
Everything here, yes. How could somebody... This is ridiculous. These people are monsters, not only in stature, also in spirit. Monstrosities.
It's like you've never met a Graith.
I mean, it's another evil to deal with another time.
Well, at least they're not dragons.
Well,
It could be
Are
worse.
they not?
It could be
we
worse.
shouldn't be on this
well,
boat for too much longer anyway.
Touche.
Let's just keep things together and get off as soon as we can.
We should have some person be awake at times. I don't want everybody to sleep here at the same time.
Yeah, we can have a watch. Generalized watch.
Very well, I shall take first watch.
Alright, and then kind of make it out.
I'll take the second watch.
Sure, I thought.
I'll go. I shall
Go
wake
when
up
I'm woken.
somewhere around dawn.
All right, well, it is somewhere around dawn when you are woken. Your watches reveal nothing out of the ordinary. The ship continues at pace, but at dawn, the ambassador politely knocks on the door and then enters. I have good news. We have made better time than we anticipated, and so Morle is now but a few moments away. They do not have the facilities needed for this vessel to be able to dock, so I am afraid we will have to disembark in the water and travel inland to the city itself.
That is okay. I think
Remarkable time.
I think it might also be scary for people to see us approach. We look more like a circus in this group anyways.
Let us hope that that is what the dwarves would anticipate, yes.
Right. Well, ambassador whose name I can't recall, and I kind of wink at him. Actually, no, he's named Collier, but I mean... This is,
Collier.
yeah.
I don't know what to call you, but...
That is another one of your jokes, I'm sure.
We thank you for the safe passage. You have more than delivered, and we will make sure that...
That other matters
No,
looked
we
into.
will not do this, Graham. We will inform our superiors of...
That
Who's
is
most?
all that I could have hoped for, and I am pleased that the course of history will record that our meeting was a chance one in a very interesting part of the world.
I can't recall a meeting we had.
Ah, yes, you are quite correct. But I assume our immediate victory in this endeavor, where me and those who think like me have been proven right by your investigations into Ausdach Castle. And so our deception will not be required after that.
Indeed.
The vessel starts to slow down, and one of the sailors comes to the ambassador. He listens quietly and then turns to you. We have arrived at Morle. If you care to join me on deck, I am informed the dwarven structures are quite a sight to see from the ocean side.
Of course.
All right.
I would love to.
All right.
I presume you have a skiff to get us to shore.
Unfortunately, we will have to go into shallow waters and then wade ashore. This vessel is not equipped with land breaching technology. It is not its mission.
I see.
We will manage, I'm sure.
Great.
The massive anchor that is the Ulantor anchor stands proud on the spur of rock that stabs out into the ocean. It is one of those great standing stone circles that the anchors, one of the shapes the anchors take, and it looks resplendent in the morning sun, almost liquid gold poured on top of the hill. Behind it is this incredible construction of stone, square buildings that do not reach upwards but rather reach down the sides of the cliff face, cover the remaining geography with structure. And you can see banners hanging always at half-mast because the dwarves are in perpetual mourning, but the flags hanging at half-mast declare that this is the territory of the Loch Banner clan.
Well, truly a resplendent sight. Let's get a closer look, shall we?
I have never considered dwarves' technology to be resplendent. Their architecture, I find, lacks a certain design quality to it. Everything lacks graceness for now, yes, of course, but
Subtlety. It doesn't have subtlety.
there you go. It's so square. It just dominates the skyline.
Very brutish, right? Just very much like-
Crude might be a word. Not that the dwarves themselves are crude people, I'm sure. They are very nice
brutish.
people.
Just like they're like big.
Excuse me.
I like
have to-
color.
Sorry.
Yes, of course. Like the dwarves. The vessel comes to a stop, and you are a few yards from the shore. Mutaru disembarks spectacularly.
Wait, Mutaru, can I ride on your back for a gold coin?
Yeah, sure, hop on.
Sweet. I don't like wading in the water.
Blackston will have his, the lower
Come,
part of the
Blackston, jump
armor
on.
No, I will not.
You're really
Jump
missing
on.
out.
I'll have the lower parts of the greaves undone,
Right,
no
right.
boots on, and just
Oh, good
let
lord.
myself down the side of the water and then
Got you.
move
I'll
ashore.
grab Con.
All right. Yeah, Con moves out with you as well. And you're on the beach for no more than a minute when you see this array of black leather-clad dwarves coming out. Now, the dwarves in the southern sections have this ancient and rather bizarre fashion style where they have these large collars that sit around their necks and then extend up behind them like mantles. And these are usually quite heavily decorated, although because they're in mourning, they're all decorated in black. But the dwarves arrive in an entourage looking very serious. Their large weapons slung over their shoulders, big war hammers on their backs. They look very sternly at you. Yes, Graham.
No, I was just raising my hand. Be like, hello.
Greetings! I am Captain Mutaru. These are Captain Blackston, Captain Conodana, and Captain Grimm. We are of the Hastari.
The most severe-looking dwarf, his beard is braided into the single line that sticks over his collar and hangs down. Steps forward. Aye, and what do you do on our shores?
We have business to attend to in... Oh, sorry, just real quickly to the players. Did we discuss, like, not telling people we're going to Arkbeg?
I didn't want the Wraith to know.
Right, so that was... Yeah, because I heard you say, obviously, we're here now, but... You know,
I just didn't want the Wraith to know. But I mean,
okay, cool.
We're going to a Dwarven city. I mean, it's hard to kind of not...
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Let the
Yeah,
dwarves know.
So I say yes, we have business to attend to in Arkbeg. Of a much urgent nature.
Then you're in the wrong place.
Yes, as expected, but we seek to travel there as quickly and promptly as possible.
Are we close enough to where I can jump off on dry land?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on the
Slide.
side. So this is not a sandy beach. This is just like a coast. More
Yes,
like
it's a pebble beach. Very
so
severe.
I would sit on a little bit of a bigger and try to dry my feet and legs with a cape.
Right.
Oh,
And
and
put on the-
I'll also show the unlit symbol as well, just to kind of...
It's supposed to be glowing, isn't it?
Oh, well, that is only when we have a perpetrator to attend to. This is simply to indicate that we are, in fact, still members of the Astari. We have no business here, per se, and thus the authority really is more to confirm our identities as what we say to be.
Do you know where the anchors are?
Do I know where the anchors are?
Yeah. I must show you a host them here as the anchor itself is placed right next to your city, is it not?
Aye. It's in our charge.
Yeah. Why are you so hostile?
They step back. There's general conversation between them in Dwarvish.
I understand
You
Dwarvish.
understand Dwarvish? What does he mean hostile? We haven't attacked them yet. It's you. You're being too serious. Lighten up a little bit. I can't lighten up. I'm the official delegate that's been sent to welcome them to the shoreline. I've got to be serious. Now shut up.
I look at him trying to look quizzically.
I very hard try not to giggle.
I'm just not, at this point, I pull out my pipe and I start stuffing it with tobacco, start smoking it.
You'll
So
want
that's why you
a
didn't wanna
boat
get
then.
wet.
What?
Sorry, I honestly didn't catch that because people were speaking.
You'll
He
want
asked
a
if we wanted a
boat.
boat. It's, do you have any? Sorry. Morle and Arkbeg is separated by, I believe, a forest. Is that is there any reason why it wouldn't be considered to be normal to go through the forest, like, on horseback?
Are you asking him that?
More general knowledge if Mutaru knows.
Ships
why
are
that
usually
might not be
easier,
the
right?
case.
Give me a nature check.
Yep.
So I would say, well, as you might have seen or might have not, I don't know if the ship still behind us, or did they already depart?
You cast a glance behind you and there's just water.
Yeah, right. As you see, we have no ship on our own, but the people that were so kind to bring us here had other places to need to go to next. So yes, we seek a passage through Morle and to go to Arkbeg ourselves.
We
There
would
is a
be flying.
boat
Then,
coming.
so we have problems.
Kind of
It'll
kick
be
Graham
here
as he
in a
says
week's time.
Ow.
What was your
Oh.
nature check, Mutaru?
16.
The Dwachtwaga Forest is considered to be a rather horrendous place to travel through. It's the last domain of centaurs who are not beholden to anybody or the druids in Sanctuary, and generally speaking, they cause a lot of grief for the surface dwellers. The dwarves have lodged complaints multiple times with the Order in the past, claiming that they are dragon worshippers, but all investigations have always just revealed that the centaurs are cannibals and nothing more.
That's quite nasty.
How do we have permission to enter your city?
Why wouldn't you?
Well, you greet us with heavily armored guards, and it is just a courtesy to ask anyways, is it not?
Again, there's a little huddle. What does he mean heavily armed? I'm only carrying one of them. I don't know. Just be nice. It would be a pleasure to have you in our city.
Oh, good, says Cons, picks himself up from a rock, dusts his robes off. Let's go then.
Wait. Why are we going to the city? Have I missed a group meeting? Was I asleep? Sounds about right.
If we want to get a boat,
We have to get through.
kind of taking his word for it, we need to find it, and the people, the sailors, will be in the city.
Transportation. We need transportation.
When do you need to be in Eichberg?
Yes,
So this is, we took 1 day, it is a week from now, so let's say in 3 days?
They huddle. 3 days? Are they not their bloody rocks? How are they going to do it in 3 days? Well, I suppose they could sail, but they'd be mad enough to take them across the bay. No, these bloody foreigners always coming in here, thinking they can do what they like. 3 days? He's bloody mad. Well, he could go through the forest. Don't be stupid, he's not going to go through the forest.
I want to go through the forest. As soon as he said cannibal centaurs, and Mutaru's already going to go through the forest. Like, oh my god.
We don't think you're going to make it in 3 days.
What if we cut through the forest?
They're going to die. You should be fine.
Well, since we don't know the lands here, I assume there will be a guide that we can speak to. That you can.
Or ground transportation, maybe.
I'm pretty sure it's just east. Oh, west, sorry. I should know my east and my west.
Well, can't
West.
walk there. in
Yeah, that's
3
why
days.
we need a guide.
Right.
Anybody want to go with them? Anybody at all? No.
And this time I will speak Dwarvish with him and say, like, you're the person who was sent to speak to us, are you not?
Didn't he ken that you spake the language of the dwarfs?
Of course, I have been dealt with your fellow kind before.
But then, pay no attention to him or she's mad. Aye, we'll
Right,
give you a
but you're
guide
not.
to take you through the forest. Mind you, it's a bit dicey.
Wow.
That's quite alright. We do. Oh, wait, is this conversation happening in Dwarvish?
Yes.
Sorry, ignore me.
Yeah, well,
It's so
we
rude
have,
people
and
do
I'd say this in Dwarvish, we have a flea rag over there who can manage himself very well. And the rest of us can also. And you're a dwarf after all.
Aye, there is that. And on that note, we will pick up again next week when the intrepid journey, who seems to be meeting every culture that there is to meet, makes its way to Eichberg as fast as they possibly can by hook, crook, or apparently cannibal. Until then, thank you for watching. Now, if you want to stay with us, we do a brief review of the show and how it went today, what our characters did. And to kick us
like
off...
we're in a Disney movie.
Then we would be singing right now.
Oh,
Yes.
We would have been like singing "Let It Go" and stuff on the ship. Be like,
No.
like
Come on.
would
All right, I'm
bring
rolling the
back
dice
like,
quickly.
like,
Yes.
I'm king of the world.
All right, Con starts us off on our review. So, what happened in this episode? I mean, what happened? There was lots of negotiation and
wrong?
talking. What? Yes.
A lot of talking, yes, but I don't know. We seem to be every time we touch down somewhere, we end up involved in negotiations with someone in order to get in the next stage of our journey. So I guess it's the inevitable. I mean, if we're not role-playing every mile that we travel, but we're traveling across a world.